Good morning, everybody. It's
Hello.
Thursday here, and we want to welcome you to the beginning of a new series, Non-Fungible Thursdays here in the TRLab server. And we have with us today Mr. Tim Almuller. Thanks, Tim, for joining us.
Sure,
And
always.
Decryptolorian, and you're probably familiar with both of these names. Probably see them in the chat quite often. They're both very serious collectors in the NFT space and also in real life space, IRL, however you want to refer to the reality that um, we tend to sometimes shun just to find the fun and joy of NFTs. So it's great to have you guys here. And Tim, how are you doing?
So far, so good. Weather is good, but market at the moment is not so good, but everything will bounce back from
Right, right.
that's don't
How
worry
about
too
you?
much.
How about you, the Cryptolarian?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. This is like Tim was saying, it's pretty much it is what it is. This is not something that like the market's not doing so well, but I'm doing good. The market tends to go up and it tends to go down, and if you wait long enough, it will be back up. So, not really worried, as you can tell from my voice. I'm actually pretty chill, and having a good time.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with you both. It's the market happens in cycles, goes up, it goes down. This is natural, it's healthy, and it also puts things in perspective, but really reinforces that idea that uh, there's a difference between long-term planning, short-term actions,
Mhm.
and you get to know more and more the longer you're in the space, right? So I joined crypto, in 2017, right as it was going strong, and within a few months, it all changed very quickly as 2018 set in. But uh, look what happened in 2020 and 2021. We've seen some really tremendous gains as the market gains more adoption and expands. We have NFTs really booming, and new aspects of blockchain technology are coming into play that speak to people in different ways. And I think this is what um, you know as much as I'm curious about everything in life, I really do like collecting. And when NFTs came on my radar, it was really it felt like the right time, the right technology, and the right alignment of my interests. And I'm really happy that it did happen. And I've been able to meet not only collect some great art that I really really love, but also meet fantastic collectors like yourself and many others, for sure in the TRLab community and other communities. And also get to know the artists more. Right? There's such a greater ability to actually talk with the artists, meet them, and um, have that conversation where you get to understand why they're doing what they're doing. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy you guys are here, and definitely good morning. And I'm happy to see everybody in the TRLab community joining us today. Um, so yeah, I think this series we'll keep it going, and we'll explore some new topics every week or so. We'll figure out a cadence. But this week, I really just wanted to start off with the joy of collecting. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we all here? And I hope that also just helps you know people right now find some joy in their life if they are feeling kind of down right now. So
Mm.
um so yeah, maybe Tim, if you could tell us a little bit more about how you see yourself as a collector. How did you get into collecting NFTs specifically? And what, I guess, NFTs really bring for you?
Okay, so I have to start way back, I guess. My collector's journey probably started when I was 10, 11 with Pokemon cards and Magic cards. I guess that's where most of us started somehow.
Yep.
And after collecting cards, at the age of, I would say, 20, 21, I started with collecting editions from artists, like prints, multiples. And at the beginning, I was collecting urban art, street art, so from Kaws to Banksy, all those artists who somehow made their way into mainstream media, from designing, or Murakami as well, from designing album covers for artists to brand collaborations with fashion houses. And after that, I moved into the rather, I would say, contemporary art scene, but also still only collecting editions and prints. And lastly, before also focusing on collecting NFTs, I'm now also focusing on collecting emerging artists, but original artwork from emerging artists. Because I feel also this brings me a lot of joy when I see an artist who just starting out is on the way up, and you somehow can support his career, and then he made some big steps within the art scene. Absolutely lovely. And within the NFT space, I guess one aspect you mentioned before as well is that you are super close now to the artists, in my opinion, like never before. I mean, I live in Munich, and from time to time you have one or two nice museum shows. Galleries are decent, but nowhere near London, New York, or other big cities. So it doesn't depend where you are in the world. You have like this super nice bond with the artist. Especially, for example, with Sai, he's in the Discord. He sends us good morning, just completely amazing. Another example may be the Heni Discord, where you also had an AMA with Damien Hirst, which is also, I guess, something that rarely comes up. So absolutely amazing. And one other thing which I think is like completely changes the game to the traditional art world is now you have like this interactive storytelling possibility to the art. Now, also referring to Sai, I mean, his artworks are not only artworks; it's more like a experience. Especially when you look at this fire shows or this firework shows. And now is something, especially with the new daytime fireworks, is something you can really participate. Depending on all those different factors, your artwork will look totally different than the other one, which is also completely amazing. And that's what I like about this NFT space. You have the storytelling ability. You're super close with the artist. I mean, there's basically so much still to come. I'm also pretty sure that TRLab is still doing amazing stuff in the future.
Yeah, we will be.
And also, if you compare it to the art blocks, for example, which also is absolutely lovely, but TRLab does this interactive game decision theory stuff, which is absolutely brilliant. Also, with the new edition from Sai, do I burn the fireworks or don't burn it? What do I do? Do I collect the fireworks? Do I collect the edition? Always nice to. I mean, this brings you back to childhood, where you had like those Game Boys and all those other consoles where you played your games, where you did have to make the decisions. Sure. Basically, everything now brings you back to childhood, collecting and game decisions. Perfect.
It's very well said. And that childhood, right? It's a really deep connection, whether it's nostalgia, joy, or whatever it might be. So I'm completely with you there. So Decryptolorian, I know you're very infamous in the space, but how about just telling everybody a little bit more about, again, a little bit about yourself, but how did you get into collecting NFTs specifically, and what do NFTs mean for you?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question, Ryan. So It's kind of a funny story. So, growing up, I resonate with the magic cards. So that was my first big
Yeah.
collectible.
Me too, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something that was so cool growing up. And my parents had a baseball card shop for a time, and I wasn't a big fan of baseball, but I did like cards, and I like to collect stuff and rocks and all kinds of things. And it's it's interesting. It's very interesting because uh, you know for the longest time, my father was a huge collector of everything, and my mother was an artist. So that was kind of this weird lifestyle growing up. They got into antiques, they got into other things. So I kind of grew up in that world, along with collecting my own stuff and liking my own stuff. So it was a very interesting kind of dynamic that we had. And then from there, it's when I started learning about NFTs, so I started in crypto, started really digging in and try to code myself, to do a bunch of other things. And basically, it was quite the experience in general.
Mhm.
And then I learned about crypto, I learned about DeFi first, and then I really started, it wasn't resonating with me. I like the financial stuff. I like the aspect of a coin, but it wasn't really where I was. So then when I learned about NFTs, it was very much home. And it did
Yeah.
take a while to learn like what the deal is with NFTs, because it's very interesting. So yeah, that's how I kind of got in, is just learning about different things, and learning about the different NFTs out there, gaming mostly. But yeah, that's where I started. I'm gonna go ahead and stop there, get my voice to work for everyone else. And then I'll come back and I'll answer more questions. So I'll be back in just a bit.
Sure. And I guess I should say, yeah, I've been a lifelong collector. I love how you said rocks, the cryptolarian, because that might actually be the first thing I collected was rocks, and I still do have a lot of rocks, and I'm fascinated by rocks, and if I go someplace meaningful and find a rock that has some special quality that just reminds me of where I am, I'll consider taking it. I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious about the fact that I don't necessarily want to disturb nature either, and keep it available for other people. But magic cards, I
Mhm.
have to say that's how I got into NFTs financially. I was able to sell unopened packs of revised edition and legends edition magic cards, and during the middle of the pandemic, it was a really great way to not only reconnect with my youth, but also to help fund this new way of collecting, and really being able to um, you know, I think kind of embrace the technology too. As much as I love magic cards,
Mhm.
to be able to keep them in great condition, to be able to verify their authenticity,
Mhm.
especially with these unopened packs, these days, it's very easy to fake these things or open them, or I forget what you call. There's like a special term where you like push up the cards just enough to where you can see through the pack in a bright light, and you can kind of guess if
It
it's
was
like a rare one or not. Um, so for me, I've still kept some of that stuff, again, for just I don't want to get rid of it all.
Mhm.
But NFTs was just all of a sudden this opportunity to not worry about the condition of the work necessarily, although I think we're seeing NFTs can change.
Yeah. Sure.
And we're seeing that the provenance of NFTs is very much locked in. So like, if you do your research, you will know if it's a legitimate item that you're collecting, right? So it really just resonated with me on that end. And then also, really making sure that the artist is supported directly through my purchase. Anytime that I sell it, I really do want part of my money to go back to the artist. And I think that's really such an important part, to have that direct support. Is, the direct contact with an artist in Discord, that's really, really valuable as well. But I think for me, knowing that the artist is going to continue to prosper throughout the life of their work, that's invaluable, that compared to what most of our society operates as in the art industry so far. So so yeah, I think that it's fun to realize that we have these common grounds, and make these connections. But we're also all exploring this space by ourselves. And Tim, I know you just put so much into researching, and you provide such a valuable resource for TRLab. But I'm really curious, what projects are on your radar? What are you most excited about right now?
In general, I'm on the one hand excited about also the existing PFP projects, because what I like about those, so from Yuga and all the others, the community aspect is really great. As you mentioned also before, you're meeting extremely cool people in the space, and those communities really, I don't know, it resonates with me. The humor, the idea how they look at things. This I really like. From the art perspective side, I see more and more artists entering the space, which is also pretty nice. There are galleries who start bringing people into the space. I always look out for those. Rech is one gallery, for example, that I'm always on the hunt when they do something new. So mixture of those two is, I would say, is my what I'm on the lookout. Not necessarily this play to earn at the moment, or the game scene. Not yet, because I don't think they're at the level where it actually makes fun. But let's see how it turns out in the future.
Yeah.
Or have you played anything already where you say, "Oh, this would be absolutely lovely"? I was invited to one. This is this Steppen. I don't know if you.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, but I haven't tried it yet.
Neither have I.
No. I should. Summer's around the corner.
No, I think that you're right. Right now, I think we all have very high expectations for gaming, and going back to Magic the Gathering, obviously this is just an incredible way to connect with an audience, and really allow them to be able to collect their own assets, and know that they're there, that they own them, right?
Exactly.
And I think that's something that is going to be really, really transformative to the gaming industry. And I'm sure that all the major gaming companies out there are well into thinking of this, and incorporating it in a very silent way. And then we see other big companies already, like Animoca, for example. Animoca is there. They've got a lot of exposure to a lot of the metaverses, and I'm sure they're doing some amazing stuff behind the scenes. I know that our CEO Audrey, our co-founder Audrey, she's had some recent meetings with Animoca, so I'm very curious to see what comes out of that. But
have you seen the trailer of the Other Side project?
Yeah.
pretty impressive, to be honest.
I mean, but that's what I expect out of a gaming company, right?
100%.
And that's what I want to see. And I think, like you said earlier, when I've been dabbling in a few of the games that I've got into, there's just not very much yet. There are some that are, I think, on the horizon, and putting some great stuff together. So it'll be really interesting to see. But I think that I'm still thinking like end of 2022, 2023, we're going to really start seeing this stuff come in. But this move to earn, that's super interesting too. If I'm a sneakerhead and I really get into collecting sneakers, now I can own a pair of sneakers, have an NFT associated with it, and my interaction with the rest of the world then translates into the blockchain, and that's super fascinating. And
yeah, it's I as mentioned, I haven't tried it. I have an invite code. I have it on my phone, but didn't connect the wallet and didn't start working. But
yeah,
sooner or later I will for sure.
No, that'll be interesting. And I know that you're also you're really into NFTs, obviously, but I know that you're a big avid collector of real life art. And I'd be curious, generally what's in your collection, across the board.
Sure.
But do you find yourself collecting only certain things of kind of the physical art world, and only certain things of the NFT art world, or do they kind of flow together?
To be honest, I normally buy stuff that I really like. So I don't go for only the investment case. So this might be something in the future. This might be valuable. I don't do that, because when you're stuck with it, you're not happy. Even if the price drops and I have something on my wall what I like, it's perfectly fine. In my collection, I mean, this piece behind me is from Hebrew Brandley. This was one of the first. Maybe you see it. It's super early from his style. So this was basically back in 2014. This was one of the first bigger purchases I made. And in my collections is original artworks from Camilla Engström. She's with König Galerie and Karl Kostial. Alejandro Cardenas, he's with Amin Rech. John Key and Molly Green, they're both with Steve Turner in LA. Print by Banksy, print by Eva Jukszkiewicz. I don't know how her name is pronounced. She's from Poland, but she's also with Amin Rech. Gerhard Richter print. So mostly there's still a lot of prints from back in the days, but I start to switch out the collections to more original artworks from up and coming artists, or even then NFT art or NFT projects.
So that's super interesting, and it sounds like you really do love what you collect, to be able to just kind of go through it like that. And and I should have brought some physical works out to show, but
I mean, I'll be totally honest, I would have way more in my collection, but it's super hard to get those pieces.
Yep.
Because if there's the sort of hype around the artist, it's super difficult. That's why you always have to maintain a good relation with the gallery. They have to know that you're sincere. I mean, most of the works you buy from the gallery, you probably could flip for the double or triple the value at any auction house right away. That's stuff that doesn't happen because it's also not good for an artist. Yeah, that's also one thing what I like about the NFT world. I mean, you have this accessibility that you, with one click, basically you can buy something, which in the real life art world is not the case.
Right. Yeah. I think people always refer to, it's maybe a misnomer, but they refer to it as a gate kept community, and I think
It is
that's
100%. 100.
there is some validity to that. I think that it's maybe a little bit strong in some instances, because I think there are some really good galleries out there who obviously really do support the artists and create good opportunities for the artists, but
Sure.
um,
Yes.
the accessibility that NFTs bring, and just knowing like, hey, this is what I want, I'm gonna buy it, like,
Mhm.
and the smart contract just sends funds immediately to the artist. That's just such an innovation in how we collect
Mhm.
and how we acquire new pieces that we love. So
Exactly.
it looks like the Cryptolorian is back.
Yes.
Hey,
How is my audio?
no, you sound great now.
Perfect.
And it's hey, I think no matter how bad it gets, I don't think the world is trying to rug us. So
No, no, Discord was trying to rug me for sure.
yeah,
But if everyone saw my setup right now with the streaming and the everything, you would laugh. So
no,
I
I've had a glimpse into your world, and I would say, yeah, the everything is right on. So, but I'm curious. We were just talking. You know, generally, DC, I would love to know what's in your collection, whether it's physical or NFT, and do they align and share a similar um, profile, or do you find that your physical works are standing alone from what you collect in the NFT space?
Sure, sure. I and this is so at some point, we talked about having the collectibles, and growing up with collectibles, and it's funny. So I'm at a different place in my life. I've always loved computers, and I've always loved the idea of having something on a computer because it doesn't take up a lot of space.
Sure.
And I've been a minimalist after a good age of like 15 or 16. And then, we started traveling around a lot, in my youth. So I started losing a lot of the amazing things that I've collected over the years, like video games and consoles and, different toys and stuff that were really popular in the 80s, magic cards. And so the physical aspect of it was lost to me because we moved so far away. So, I really
Mm.
resonated with how computers and the digital files were. And, at some point it was more valuable to me that the digital was, kind of my file cabinet where I keep stuff. And if I lost it, then I'd be upset. But to be honest with you, pretty much anything in the physical world doesn't mean a lot to me as much anymore.
Mhm.
That's super interesting. I
A
find,
lot to me.
yeah.
So it looks like I locked it. Did you catch all that?
No, you dropped out a little bit, so I apologize. I just spoke over you a little bit, but
No, no worries, no worries.
you know,
Yeah, this thing is determined to rug me today. But the thing is I really resonate with NFTs because I like the minimalist aspect and I like carrying them around with me anywhere. And I think we're kind of in a digital age now, and which really it hits me. So my NFT collection is more valuable to me than anything physical,
mm,
to be quite honest. And I love collecting, and we talked about access to the artists and whatnot, and I love that aspect of this world. And honestly, it's life changing. Over the past 2 years, I've just really engaged with this world. I felt good. It feels natural. It feels like, back when I started really getting heavy into the computers back in the 90s, it feels more like that time. So, yeah,
mm,
I mean, and I love to collect anything from art to gaming assets to, anything with this really interesting utility. But photography, you name it. I mean, I like to collect it if it looks cool to me. That's really it's not about the monetary gain. It's about the cool factor. What can it do Does it look cool? Do I like it? You know, that's where I'm at. Collect what I love. I'm kind of in the same boat where it's just like you get somebody that you really like and you really want to collect, but it may be out of your price range. So I am in favor of edition sizes sometimes because it allows me to get in at a lower price and still have something that I really want from the person. So it's all about the person. Yeah, I mean, it's quite the interesting world, and I can't wait to see how it develops over time. I mean, it's just getting started. One of the things that I will mention about TRLab in general is that TRLab is so unique and has so many unique aspects to it. It really puts you, it gives you a deeper connection and story with the artist, which is something that I haven't seen in a lot of projects. So I've always been a huge fan of what TRLab does. And it's also opened my eyes to who the artists are, because, you know, going back to an earlier project, there was a fantastic artist that was doing these intros, you know, to all of these shows that I love. And I always was, you could ask my wife, I'd say, oh man, these intros are amazing. Like, just so artistic and so crazy. And then finding out who the artist was like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that. So yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
That is super interesting. We're finding out, you know, I think we're discovering a lot of artists that didn't necessarily have a platform before, and you might have only found their work in a commissioned work or some other sort of platform where they're not really necessarily being featured as the main artist, and now they have an opportunity to actually get their work out and be the focus of attention, or to be a digital artist now, to be able to prove that you created this work. You know, that sets a tone of legitimacy that didn't exist for a lot of artists, and a lot of digital artists that I've met recently in the space, or when I first got into the space. I think that was one of the things I kept hearing the most was, you know, this is finally the chance for me to feel legitimate. This is now the opportunity for me to be recognized by everybody that I went to art school with and who's hanging in galleries or museums, and now I'm finally, you know, recognized as well. So I think that's an incredibly important point for the space. So so yeah, you know, I think for myself, you know, in terms of my collecting, I am very into you know, I'd say I love photography, so I'm very curious to see, like, as photography starts getting into the space, how that goes. And I've already been able to find some really cool works, and I'm glad there's certain communities like Whale. You know, I know Whale Shark has been really pushing photography, so I'm excited to see that blossom. But you know, I also find myself always intrigued by pop art and, you know, these references. You know, I really love the piece behind you, Tim. You know, it's a really cool piece, and you know, I love having these elements of, you know, popular culture being thrown in and digested and reinterpreted by really talented artists who can give their own spin or put in a different context. You know, one of my favorite works is from a Ukrainian artist who lives in Brooklyn, Misha Tutunik, and I'm sure I'm butchering his name, but you know, it's great because it's a picture of Superman giving the middle finger, which I won't do on the screen. But let's just say, like, he's giving the middle finger to the sun in the sky, and you know, it's such a twist on the narrative of what the icon of Superman is, and I interpret it one way, and I think of him like struggling underneath this power that he now has to hold up and like be responsible for all of humanity. And the artist, you know, after getting to talk to the artist a little bit, he was like, no, that's just like, the all-seeing eye in the sky, and such a different interpretation. But you only find that stuff by talking to the artist and having the accessibility. So I will say though that I've gotten really into pixel art, and I never really expected uh, to be a person who's gonna like go after pixel artists. But I think early on, one of my early artists that I met was Rob Levy, and Rob Levy is like a former um, MTV, kind of Viacom type artist, working behind the scenes. Never really had a chance to share his work outside of just kind of fan art, and being able to create. He really got famous for these Han Solo, Star Wars pixel creations, and it ended up turning into something with NFTs that really enabled him to get into a different um, medium and get his art out into the world. And here's an example, just from something I've collected is DZ Demons, and his kind of genesis project was actually Dizzy Dragons, but it's enabled these spin-offs of just like some very cool pixel art that people get into. And whether you're collecting it for rarities or certain qualities, it's just really fun. And I actually have collected quite a bit of his works, and use his Mount Olympus here as one of my profile images. And I just really think that it's become such a great thing to I guess identify with the artist in a new way, make a new friend in the space, and explore a new medium that I never expected to really get into. So it's really cool that we have these opportunities. But so I know that DC, you spoke a little bit about how you thought of TRLabs, but Tim, I know that you've been a TRLab collector for a really long time, and very present in the community. And I'm so happy that you're here with us today and sharing even more of your life as a collector. But what do you think is really special about the TR community?
So first of all, I collected Sai's first Genesis piece back in the days. I guess it was like, is it already 6 months ago? I guess so, right?
Yeah, all of 6 months ago.
Crazy. I mean, the space, so much stuff is going on in the meantime. You really forget how time goes by. So I started the Genesis piece back in the day. It was also another of my first NFTs, I guess. I'm basically drawn from the art side. Damien Hirst was another one, and then basically the work from Sai. I still can remember it was also my first mint, and I had no idea how this is going to work. And apparently it worked out very well. And then I really resonated with the people who were in there, also made some good friendships. And I've followed along the whole process, what they have in mind. Seeing the next project after that was the AI 2041, which was curated by Privino, I guess his name is. Also super famous curator in the real art world. I guess he had like one of the most extensive course toy collections there ever was. I think he sold it on Christie's on auction. So it was really, really big of a deal. So I already knew even then that TRLab is like really going in the right direction. Seeing like the art world, people from the real art world, so to say, coming into the space. And also TRLab announced a funding back in the days where also like huge galleries took part in the funding process. So then you directly know it couldn't get more legit like this. And then I was just following along. I really enjoyed the 2041 the project. As you mentioned before, that you are really into pixelated art. One of my favorite pieces was from one of the artists from the 2041 drop.
Yeah.
From S Graphics. He had another work, and it's called Game Over. And he described it super nice. He described it that he is like at least 1.5 years in this crypto NFT space. And everybody, as soon as everything goes down, everybody's screaming, it's a bear market, go home, it's game over, when it's not. So everything will come back in the end. And it ever did come back, and I'm pretty sure also now it will come back. So
Absolutely.
also when my friend said, oh shit, what's going on now? I sent him this video where he describes his work, and they were like, okay, yeah, sounds all right.
Yeah, well, I might actually have to use that tactic. I'm fielding a lot of calls right now from.
I mean, if you look at Twitter, one is saying this, one is saying that, but yeah, in the end, trust the people who have always been there. And yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. So, I would love to hear from you, Cryptolorian, because I feel like you've seen TRLab grow from its very beginning, and you've been in the space and you've seen so much else. What do you see is really kind of the hallmark of the TRLab community?
Oh yeah, that's a great question, Ryan. So, I've seen the first projects go live, and I got to say that each one has been fantastic. I mean, the implementation of them, the concepts of them, every single one is fantastic. I think that we've went from smaller editions to a bigger edition size project, and it's always kind of like stressful thinking about how we're going to do a different type of project versus something we've done in the past and it's been successful. So I think that it's going just really, really well, with this size project and the fireworks and, the excitement of the community. So I think that engagement at all, just speaking in projects in general, it's hard to get that type of engagement from the community. So I'm really excited to see how this is developing, because it's not just a, reveal and then walk away. And you get that as a consumer or someone who loves NFTs. That reveal aspect is something that has resonated with a lot of people over the past year in 2021. So having that and adding like another layer to that is something that I found just fascinating, that you can be in charge of when you reveal the piece, and you will get a different outcome as you go along. And I think that that's one of the things that sets, again, I will preach it for forever, that that's the thing that sets the TRLabs apart from other projects, is that level of complexity, that detail that goes into every project. The project before was based on a book, and it was fantastic. It was fascinating, to see how that those concepts come together with the artists, the community, the collectors, and everything kind of meshing together in this experience, versus something that is a short term reveal, and then you like it. And you may be waiting for something else to happen with that project. But this is more of an experience. It's more of like a holistic approach to how a project should be in the space.
Yeah. I think that is definitely what drew me into TRLab as well. So I'm happy to be here, and and joining them on their journey as they continue to go further. And I think the community is really grown, obviously, in the last couple months. I think that Exploding the Self and AI 2041 was just a great foundation to lay down these really passionate collectors. And now we've been able to bring in so many other people who are just, you can just tell they just love size work so much, and it resonates so much for them. And the way this project has grown, I feel like, when we were talking about when I first joined the team a little over 2 months ago, we're talking about this project. It's just really it's now in a place that I couldn't even imagine. The level of interest that's been shown, and now I just wanted to bring up, imagine this, which was just this whole other um, innovation added here, where for burning 9 different countries of fireworks, you were able to pick up this really amazing sketch process. And buffering a little bit here, but to be able to have another layer of collecting art, to be able to have another way to experience these choices as to, am I going to burn fireworks that I already burned a firework packet to obtain? It's super interesting, and it has all these extra dynamics. And then as a collector, I just love to be able to look at these charts and check out the dashboard here that our amazing web team has put together. And I know that they're already talking about doing some additional improvements. I don't want to say too much, but the fact that I can not only see how many are set off on those days, and see what's happening in these special fireworks that we're seeing, zooming out here. All right, who here on the call knows what that one was? Tim, do you see?
Was it Skylighter?
Yeah, that was Skylighter. And you see just like, we're talking about edition sizes and accessibility, but day one, that's what we expect, right? Super popular, interesting launch, and then we see Cousin Da Vinci here, and we see Black Rainbow. Interestingly, then we have, I think, Transient Landscape is a little bit lower, but this is starting to actually create another way of looking at this collection, and another way of understanding what's happening here amongst this whole project. And we're still only day 40 just ended, right? And we're just about to begin day 41 of the Cylinder in about 10 minutes here. So we aren't even halfway, and there's more to come. And certainly with TRLab, generally, it's really exciting to be on this side and know what else is coming, the artists that are on the horizon. And I think the trajectory of where TRLab is going in terms of bringing collectors into a new experience of how to collect fine art and interact with it. So it's very exciting. And I did want to be cautious of the time, because I'm sure each of us here could just talk forever about art and NFTs, and not watch the clock at all.
But one thing I have to mention,
yeah,
the fan art of these fireworks is amazing.
Yes,
absolutely amazing.
Yes,
I've seen so many great ideas also as covers of a fashion magazine. I think was one.
Yeah,
completely nuts.
Yeah. The hip hop video, or
yeah, amazing.
I mean, have you created any of your own, Tim?
I'm so bad at that stuff.
Yeah, me too.
but bad at creating.
I have every intent. I mentioned to Being the other night on one of the firework reveals that I was out walking around on the streets of New York, and somebody actually had a dog, a little white dog with a coat that looked exactly, the colors were exactly the same as that first bright, colorful fan out of Mexico that, you know, then became synonymous with a bag of veggie sticks. And I have every intent of making a meme out of it. It'll probably be pretty low quality because I'm just not that great at it. But that's also the fun of this, right? You know, the fact that we have so many people that are just so excited. They see the art, they appreciate the art, but then it inspires them even more, and it inspires them to see the world around them in a different way, and really translate the art into that meaningful experience. Because I think, as we've heard from Sai several times, the fireworks experience, it's really this personal, intimate experience, and yet we share it with all the people around us, and it really encompasses the world around us. So I know that the second round of the fan art contest is underway, and that'll get interesting because we'll get some voting, and we'll get some community favorites that emerge, and then we'll throw those up on Twitter, and make sure that everyone in the Twitter sphere can check out these works and vote on them. So, and again, we're only halfway through. It's just going to get better and better, I'm sure. So,
Sure.
So yeah. So I did want to call out. There was one question in the chat, you know, asking about Azuki. You know, a lot of big projects in the news recently, and Azuki is definitely one of the biggest ones. You know, I would point out to anyone who's listening, check out Andrew Wong. You know, Andrew Wong was he hosted a really amazing Twitter space with Sai and Audrey a couple weeks back. It was just a really emotional experience, and talk about someone who, you know, was never really in the art world and just kind of made this epiphany in his own experience. And you know, he's had some really good talks with the founders of Azuki. So I think if you are interested in that, go to Andrew Wong's profile. And you know, he's such a great friend of TRLab, and that AMA was so amazing. You know, I would say just follow Andrew on any of his projects and check out his Twitter Spaces, because they're going to be really, really meaningful. And you know, I think always do your own research, right? Make sure that what you're getting into is something that you feel comfortable. And ultimately, you know, I think we've all said it, you know, when you're collecting, we are here for the joy of collecting, right? And that emotional response, and that you know, the finding out what you love and enjoy. I think that's just so important, because these are the places you can go to when things do get dark, and when the world around you doesn't make sense. Go back to what does make sense. Go back to what does resonate with you, and you know, enables you to feel joy, because you know, that's what I think the artists generally are trying to also accomplish. They want you to feel something, right? They want you to enjoy this work, and interact with it, you know, through your mind, and you know, maybe sometimes other ways, you know, movement, like you know, we've seen some kinetic sculptures in the real world and various other things. But this is a great time to look back at your collection. You know, open up your OpenSea profile and just take a look. You know, enjoy what you've collected. So I don't see any other questions in the chat, but you know, do you guys have any parting words, Tim?
In the end, I would say follow TRLab, follow the space, even if it does, if the space doesn't look good at all at the moment because of all crypto and what is happening, don't lose the focus. What's at the moment, what might be down, will go up again sooner or later. And I would be there when another great project from TRLab or from any other creators will come up. So
Great.
Somewhere on Twitter I saw that after the last crash, people disappeared from the space and said, fuck it, I'm out, I don't want to do this anymore. And then everything went back up, and it will be the same with NFTs and projects in the NFT space. There will be so much more. This is just the beginning. So even if it doesn't look good now, it will look good in the future, and there will be amazing, amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So stick by.
How about you, the Cryptolarian? Any parting words?
Yeah, absolutely. No, those are words of wisdom. So for me, it's going to be, I've been here for almost 2.5 years, and I'm not going anywhere. This is the most exciting and interesting thing that's come across my desk in my entire 40 years on the planet. So I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see what we do with it. It's a technology that I'm certainly very, very I resonate with. So I'm here for the long haul. It doesn't matter what happens in the short term. So that would be my advice. Don't freak out. Don't stress out. Short term doesn't matter. Long term matters. Look at what the industry is doing. Look at what the people are doing. This is not stopping by any means. If the industry was going downhill, why would Instagram be getting into it? Why would YouTube be getting? Why would all these other big companies be wanting to get in? Because they see the potential, they see the excitement, they see the user base. This is the internet back and if anyone has lived through the time period, this is the internet back in the 90s, right? When it was just taking off and everyone was really excited. So be here. Enjoy yourself, have a good time. Again, the short term doesn't matter, long term for fun, and buy what you like, enjoy what you like, and enjoy some of the drama because it is fun and exciting too. So just have fun. That's my advice. Have a good time.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I have a good time. I think the market will do its thing, but the space is continuing to grow. And the more it grows, the more people come in, the more artists come in, the more new ways to collect art and interact with art. It's just going to keep getting better and better. So, with that, I see the time's coming up. So this was a rather perfect talk, guys. And I really appreciate both of you joining us, especially Tim, really keep up the good work on all your research, and I'm really curious to see what other new projects you start discovering, and I want to have you back here to talk with us and share with the community. Great, and thank you, DC, for joining us as always. Really great to have your insights and opinions. So with that, I want to say goodbye to everybody, and good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Take a deep breath, maybe take a deep breath. Remember to breathe out too. Breathe in and out. These are very important things for all of us at any times, but I think especially right now, just remember, life keeps going. This is a great time to step away from the computer, perhaps. Enjoy your physical art, perhaps take a walk. Either way, we'll still be here. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
In the Discord, if you have any questions, if you want to talk about things, why
We're
not?
here. We're here. This is a great time just to talk, and I think you'll see in the chat we talk about everything. So ask your questions, whatever they are, and we'll make sure to answer you and hope to get to know you a little bit better too. So all right, well, have a great day, Tim, and I know it's just getting started for you, DC, and we'll catch you on the next one. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.